So his question is, does self-realization mean that you will use your brain 100%? Because he says, an average human being does not use more than 2 or 3%. Are we talking about your brain or? Okay. I'm just joking. I'm just joking, don't worry. It's my nature to joke around. That's why I became a sadhu. I saw life was a big joke. I said, how do I joke more than life can? So I became a sadhu. So in a class of, a teacher, there was a young boy. He went to his home. He asked his father, how did we come about? How were we born? And how did we become humans? Did some God create us? He said, no, we were all monkeys at one time. And then gradually we evolved and we became humans. And then he said, okay, fine, I'll believe you. Then he went to his mother and asked the same question. He said, Mommy, how did we become humans? She said, son, a divine person called God created us. He said, now I'm confused. Papa says that we became humans from monkeys. And the mother said, I'm not talking about his family. So that's why I asked you, we're talking about your brain. You see, I think science has this misconception that we only use 2 or 3% of our brain. Why? Because science is thinking under the results of some imaging, that if there is not enough activity happening, if not all areas are red, that means I'm not using all areas. But I don't think it's the right way to consider the usage of brain. Still, let's assume we are not using 100%. Is self-realization 100% utilization of your brain? To be honest with you, self-realization is when you can survive with 0% utilization of your brain. That's self-realization. All else is commentary. If you look at a server, a computer server, are you in that industry? Yeah. Because he had such a convincing nod. Yes, I know a server, that kind of thing. If it's running to its 100% utilization, something is terribly wrong. It needs more hardware, more RAM, or the app is eating it up, or the application is too intensive, or it's going old, or something is going wrong. A server should never run to 100% utilization because it would clog, it would crash eventually. A good server just maintains a very little, low latency levels between CPU and other infrastructure. It's just going and in waves. So average person's brain is going like this. If there is 100% utilization, he's already going to burst like a volcano anytime. The reverse is self-realization, when you can run a massive application, a system, and yet your graph is not going up and down, up and down, up and down. Like sometimes that happens when you see your credit card statement or bank statement. If your heartbeat is not going like this, your brain waves are just going gently flowing. That's self-realization. Above all, somebody had asked me this question many years ago, that what is self-realization? I gave an answer back then. I said, self-realization is basically being stripped off. It's being totally naked in front of yourself. When you take a hard look at yourself and you say, all all these labels that I've acquired or that I've assigned to myself, am I actually these people? What if I did not have any label? If I did not have any label, I would have no prison. If I did not have any label, I would have no constraints. If I wasn't a son, wasn't a husband, wasn't a wife, wasn't a daughter, wasn't a mother, okay, if that's very good, thank you. Wasn't a mother, wasn't a father, wasn't this, what? Who would I be? I'm not talking about an intellectual inquiry here. I'm not talking about going through who am I, the negative or the affirmative way. I am simply saying, if you did not have these labels, therefore these constraints, because every label comes with a set of specifications. If you're a wife, you have to fulfill certain criteria. If you're a husband, you have to fulfill certain criteria, and so on. If you're a daughter or a son, there is certain expectations from you, and those expectations pretty much drive our decisions and decision making in our world. What if I had no labels, therefore no constraints? Who I would really be, or who would I be? The moment you discover that truth, you have chanced upon a moment of great realization. So this monk, Thich Nhat Hanh, the Thai monk, then he moved to the US, I believe. Somebody asked him that before realization, chop wood, fetch water. That's what they do in monasteries, at least in the earlier days, you would have to go and get water from a source and cut wood and so on. So before realization, chop wood, fetch water. After realization, chop wood, fetch water. Nothing has changed, he says. Nothing changes. So somebody asked me about 5 years ago, quoting that monk, that's realization, nothing changes. I said, you have equated self-realization with physical attributes. Of course nothing would change in physical attributes. If you want to change the physicality of your life, you have to do physical actions. If you want to have a different body, you have to work out that way, eat that way, or put those creams on your face or whatever. You have to do different things. If you want to have a change in your physical circumstances, you have to move to a new place, or you have to buy a different house, or do something different in your existing home. But self-realization has nothing to do with this. So of course, before and after, it would be fetch water, chop wood. It's what happens inside you. The projector inside you changes. Now it's projecting different kind of images in the external world. And you see a different world. You see a different kind of beauty in the world that was there earlier as well, where it looked quite doom and gloom and listless and a whole barrage of emotions. Now it looks and feels different. So I hope I answer your question.